For the longest time, I've kind of been thinking that it's time to retire. It's time to hang up my Mario hat. It's actually hanging up over here. It's time to stop talking about PlayStation and Xbox because these are irrelevant, dying brands. I was talking about this even a decade ago, just how Sony's deals with like Bankai would implode, how the Bungie acquisition was a disaster, Gamergate, all the signs were there that like the entire house of cards that the gaming community had built up over the past 20 years were collapsing. And that was apparent even then. And now it's even getting worse with like some of the worst video game franchises ever made. Stuff like Assassin's Creed, um, stuff like that, that is going under. Ubisoft, the worst video game developer on the planet, publisher on the planet, is going under, and that can't make me happier. It's the beginning of the end for all these corporations. It's only a matter of time until the same thing happens to Rockstar, to Activision, to all these other studios that have spent like the past 30 years just milking their customers dry. It really needs to implode. And it should have happened a long time ago, but the signs are definitely there. I'm seeing normies complain about the platforms. People are pushing back against their practices, and like they're not really seen as being cool anymore. And the narrative right now is that like, oh man, PC is gonna take over. PC is gonna swoop in and just steal all this market share and become the dominant force in gaming. And I've come to understand, owning a gaming PC myself and like seeing just how little I play it, to the point where like a game that I really, really want to finish on it, Tales of Arise, I'll just wait for the Switch 2 version. Like that's honestly my genuine opinion on this. I'll just play Tales of Asperia on Switch. I'll play Tales of Graces. I'll play Tales of Symphonia. I'm not gonna play Tales of Arise. This game I really, really like on my gaming PC. And it took me a while to kind of figure out why. Why am I not like into gaming PC as a platform? And it's unintuitive. Like all of these games are just the exact same thing as you can get on console, just on a more expensive piece of hardware that may not work as effectively. Right? The issue is PC is simply too expensive for video games. You can get a PC at like half the price of a typical gaming PC, right? That does everything else you want to do except play games, and then just buy a Nintendo Switch and then play everything on that, right? Like the reality is Nintendo consoles specifically, the real competition, are going to coexist with lower budget, mid-range PCs that are not being used to play games. I think that's like the reality behind like the PC success story is that these everybody uses PCs in their daily lives. They're everywhere. They're just basic computers, right? Personal computers. Like they exist. They have their purpose. But that purpose is not to play games, right? Like people are going to gravitate more to a streamlined platform that's more affordable, that has exclusive software, that can innovate when it comes to technology. They are going to gravitate towards Nintendo consoles. And this has kind of been like my stance on this for a long time, is that I felt like PC gaming, mobile, and like Nintendo consoles would just coexist in like these in this ecosystem that would just overlap with each other. But like the more I think about it, like the narrative specifically is that like PC gaming will dominate Nintendo consoles, and that simply isn't happening. That simply isn't possible. If you really look at like what Nintendo is doing right now, when they're branching out into merchandising, when they're branching out into making films, when they're doing stuff successfully on mobile, like you get this sense of just like what Nintendo's strategy actually is, and it far surpasses anything that like Valve is capable of. Valve is completely reliant. Like Valve can't even get a piece of hardware on retail shelves. Okay, Valve cannot sell people Steam Decks. Okay, and you really think that they're going to compete with Nintendo? Oh, that's another thing, by the way. The way they like do this really odd like kind of shuffle to like avoid basic reality. They do this weird thing where they say PC gaming, but they really mean Steam, which is like a specific platform that is clearly like on the decline in a lot of ways, that clearly has a lot of issues behind the scenes that people conveniently don't talk about. You know, how it's all entirely going to fall apart when Gabe dies, right? Like we all know this at this point. We've done this for a long time, but like the weirdness of it all is that the PC gamers will do this thing where they're just like, ho, 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 if Steam goes down, we'll just go to another storefront. And I'm just like, what storefront is there that has a tenth of the relevancy of Steam? You know, are you gonna go to GOG? Are you gonna go to the fucking Epic Game Store? Are you gonna play like Microsoft Windows? Like, are you gonna buy games from the Microsoft Store? Like, there's a reason why Steam is like more relevant than all of those, is because all of them are clunky. All of them are like have all these like really terrible user interface issues. A lot of them are like pulling all sorts of weird stunts, like the whole Epic Game Store exclusivity thing. Like, what exactly, when you have all of these competitors on the same platform, like none of them are going to be able to dominate and like kind of lead the way onto like what PC gaming should be. You know, once Steam falls apart, the issues with PC gaming are going to become more prevalent because none of these platforms are dominant. They won't be able to invest in the platform and continue to improve it any further, right? Epic is not able to support the Epic Game Store because it's so successful and that they're selling tons of games on there. They're supporting it the way they are because of Fortnite. And they're trying to get this store to take off. They're trying to make it relevant. They're trying to make it competitive because they know that Valve's position as like the PC market leader, the storefront, it is tenuous. It will fall apart the instant that like Gabe's cult of personality collapses. You know, whether it's because he dies or because of something else. Like Tim Sweeney knows that Valve's time as like the premier storefront is limited. But like there just aren't enough PC gamers to support all of these storefronts. You know, they're all going to have their little niches. They're all going to have their like audiences. You know, like we've been talking a lot lately about like DL site and this mindset that people have is that like, oh yeah, if Steam censors my game, I'll just go to this other platform. Yeah, those platforms are getting shut down too. Like, you know, they can't remain competitive for one reason or another. So what ends up happening is that they will be so busy trying to keep their servers up and running that they will not be able to invest in actually developing new video games and new upcoming products the way that Valve has been doing, right? You know, Valve hasn't been doing very well at that, but like they have been trying. Right. So what you're going to see is just like this complete collapse of the PC ecosystem where everybody is trying to compete to be the new Valve, but simply doesn't have the capacity to do it. And more normies are going to realize it's quicker and easier and more affordable to just buy the newest Nintendo console and play games that have been like, you know, on the market for 5 to 10 years, right? You know, I can tell you that I've been having way more fun playing Tales of Vesperia than I have playing any AAA game on my gaming PC. Like, there was no reason for me to like get a PC, download Steam, buy Tales of Arise when I could have just bought a Switch and play like another game in that series while I wait for Arise's like inevitable release on that platform, right? There was no reason for me to invest in a gaming PC, right? Nothing on there lives up to the hype. Elden Ring sucks, Baldur's Gate 3 sucks. Like, uh, we are, I think, going to see like this really sharp decline of relevancy with PC gaming when more normies start understanding how expensive it actually is, right? The PC master race is nothing but a cult of personality, and we need to acknowledge this and condemn it and promote just how much better Nintendo platforms are in comparison.